why spoil a beautiful day? I mean, literally. So it's the first. I think there've only been about 3 days this year where it's been possible to warm up in the sun. Why spoil a horrible day getting a laptop out? Because the laptop battery lasts longer when it's warm. So I've deliberately been getting the UV into me after a fairly tough couple of months weather-wise. And 50 gigabytes, a mundane job. 50 gigabytes had to be taken off this camera and put onto the external storage. And I must make a second copy as soon as possible, which I will do. So, why have I even turned this camera on? Let's turn this off now. So, that is got to go in a special place now to remind myself that it really is critical, because I've only got one copy now of data on that. And turn off the computer. See, please note, using left hand. Now, why have I turned this on? You see, anybody looking at this would say, what a paradise life. No. This county is the most unfriendly. I'm beyond loneliness. It's like, I literally have an internal setting. It's not possible to make any meaningful, decent friendship here. It's just, even the one woman 20 km down there, we went for a walk in the autumn down to a cove and she went for a swim. Van woman. But she's like, well, A, she's at the dull phase of a couple of years into finding her redemption via Jesus. But B, van people, there's a rule. And rural people, there's the same rule, which is you don't take things to heart. And there are just basic standard philosophies. And I sent her some kind of message. Soon I'm going to be copying out all my messages the last 5 years. Some I'm going to put up on my website. Yeah, I kind of made a reference. You know, love, you inherited money. So you're comfortably off. A lot of people in the bottom third are not at all comfortably off. And I get a kind of, it's like, yes, she's got luxury of not having to worry about various things. And this is a fairly down-to-earth, homespun person. But I get, or seem to be, and I get, it's offensive saying that. I'm offended. A van rural person would never use the word offended. Never. And she hasn't replied to anything else since then, not even a Christmas text. I made a really good, not good. No, I've really spent a good hour as well sorting my notes out, and that's a 3 months worth of bits and bobs, because I take them out of notepads when I finish a notepad, and they've just got to be, now, this is my most important notepad. And in here, I mean, this is like almost embarrassing, but it's like that chair. I had a dream about the double chair last night. But that's the most important thing, you see. It's like, just because these people, they undermine you, they chip away at you, and they don't get me down. Perhaps the reason they don't get me down is because I keep a little notepad as to, if I got a phone call, a certain person, like, okay, what do you want? Oh, this is the most important. There are 2 or 3 really important things written in here. When I said I'd go to Serbia to fix your father's house, it did actually cause dread in me. Dread. I don't want to do that. Oh, I've been on lots of adventures in my life, and proper adventures. But a few days later, also, it's like gradually that settled into me, and it's like, I know the most important thing of all is keeping to what you say. So, I would have carried on with that. I would have followed through that. And that, keeping to your words, gives the most important psychological gift in time. And that's the truly, no, it's one important thing in life. Oh, that double chair. She got it out of the bag. I was very surprised. I thought she would have chucked it away. So what's going on there? I don't know. Anyway, so I got a few notes there just in case. Because you have to live on. But what does that mean? Anyway, I've had a truly, I'm strong enough to say, a terrible thing. This has got nothing to do with my last year, but it has in a way. It's certainly got nothing to do with any other specific person the last year and a half. Because when I came down here, I mean, okay, in my number two, what's it called? Culture Wars. Well, it's not Culture Wars. It is all the background. But in my number 2 recording I made today, I met a woman as we were going along. I actually forget the recorder's on. Here's the point. I've had 100 conversations like that. I can just strike a conversation up with somebody you meet on a pathway. Sometimes if I'm in one of the small towns, I might, if I'm like feeling in the mood. They never ever come to anything with anybody here. Once only has somebody invited me, and great, and there's a kind of extra dimension to that I've discovered. Her and her husband, last week ago? 10 days ago. Really important. But she's 63 and not well, so I'd love her to be available. Okay, I'll put it in here. A cancelled bishop. Wales's first woman bishop. Or St. David's first woman bishop. I can't remember which, it doesn't matter. But anyway, she's really great. I had no idea that she was either had been a bishop or had been cancelled. And she was cancelled. She told me the true version of it. Anyway, I don't want to say any more because she's eminently Googleable. Might never encounter them again. But I've actually turned this on. Because, yes, there's a kind of, apart from her and her really great husband, who we were meeting to talk about, they've got spare time, they're focused, they understand, because I've tested her quite a few times. Right, it's say what you mean what you say. If you say you're going to maybe do a cause, because I've been encouraging her, you need a cause to keep you alive now. And she agrees, she does, but she might not be healthy enough. Yeah, so apart from that, it's like nobody I've met at all is worth meeting. Simple as that. Right, here's the terrible kind of, sounds the most self-aggrandizing, but false politeness is just, it's one of the things I concluded about a month or two ago, about a month ago, as I wander and ponder. False politeness has just killed everything. It is how the beast has been allowed to get away with ruining the environment and gradually turning the bottom half into a slave economy. False politeness and false modesty. Now, I am modest. I am genuinely modest. But really, what's it all about? It's about how to be me. What do I mean by that? It's like going through that period from 2010 and then a couple of other periods. Always, somehow, I've got some ingredient. Oh, I kind of know what it is. I kind of know what the ingredients are, but I've always got my act together. Not in an anal way, not in an OCD way, just most of the time I keep to my trajectory methodically working, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if nothing ever is achieved. Now that's actually quite important, because the one thing that actually does energize me, for about 20% of the time for the last 15 years, I've kept kind of audio, and I didn't used to do much video about 10 years ago because I didn't have equipment. My video camera was really not very nice. But I've kept a kind of record of 3 or 4 themes over the last 10 or 15 years, and I certainly didn't plan to do it for 15 years. The thing that actually sort of magically tweaks me, there's only one thing. I've had proper love, felt proper love, genuine love, twice in 15 years actually, as it happens. But the more recent time, ready for it. Everything in the past, processed, grief got over, hurt, pain got over, ready for it. And perhaps even more importantly, put my heart, soul into several causes, about 3 causes really, the last decade, which needed to take part, needed to have a go. Didn't want to, but each time I said I was going to do something, really good example, titleyscheme.blogspot.com. As I never wanted to live in that place, but I knew it was a social good. I knew it was a necessary scheme to try and take forward for the, say, dozen less well-off people in that otherwise gentrified little community. As soon as I started to speak to 1 or 2 others and say to them this could happen, I realised I was opening up the fact that I kind of had a bit of an obligation to do some of the initial work, to take it forward. And I would have done quite a lot more work had one of the half a dozen people, even the policeman, said it was a good idea, important. Oh, we get less crime if people have got a stake in their little community land trust. Self-built houses. And he's a real bloody dinosaur. Anyway, to the point. Yeah, had 1 or 2 people actually said, yeah, this is great. Well, they say this is great, and they never did anything. I set the web page up for local people to have a look at and come back to me. None of them ever did. Pathetic. Lost. But had 1 or 2 of them said, okay, not me, because I didn't want to live there, but had they said, I want to work towards this and end up with a little bit, the free money from the government. You get sweat equity via community land trust, self-built. Had any of them said, right, okay, I'm going to go for it, I would have said, well, okay, I will take part in setting you up to do A or B or C. And I didn't want to do that. It's a place I don't like. Titley is a little village by quite a busy road. I don't like being by busy roads. I don't really even agree with any building there, but it'd be better to have mixed building at a lower level than the 40 houses, executive homes that were kind of seemingly on the cards 10 years ago. Had anybody said yes, I would have committed a bit. And had I, at that moment, I would have been like, oh God, I don't want to be doing this. I'm going to get nothing out of it. I don't like even being in that little geographical location. My geographical location is 5 kilometers up into the hills. That's where I like being. Every second down at this little tiddly village is a waste of a second of my life. There is nothing for me there but just taking part a bit. Anyway, so I've done 4 really actually, causes the last 10 years. And that's all. 3 or 4 years on a cause from 2003 to 7. So that's enough cause, and the 6 months from December 2008 to summer 2009, that's enough. So I've done my bit, and I don't feel smug about it, because it's been a complete waste of time. This society is atomized, selfish, and sick. Anyway, why have I turned the camera on? Yes, so, how to be me. How to live through 3 more than disappointments, existential, total attacks on the soul, on everything, alone. And as I would say, it's like, if you look at DSM, I can't remember what we're on. Are we on 5 now? If you look at DSM 5, for 15 years, well, 20 actually, I've had every risk factor. If you list those risk factors, nothing like enough social support, or none. Hardly any real friends. I literally have every risk factor for having the psychotic fall into the abyss or variance, and I've never fallen into the abyss. Been partly there for a few years. The only human being, the human being who I'd lived with 4 times longer than anybody else and adored every second, stolen, etc. Yeah. And the huge surprises. And the funny thing is, it is Brexit 2000 and summer 16. Well, the first 6 months kind of didn't count almost. We were all in shock. But 17, 18, 19, those 3 years, actually they took a lot out of me, because I know a lot about Europe. Unfortunately, I know how real politics work. I kind of have even come to understand what populism is. I've had to fight some causes, and I understand how to deal with people who aren't me, and how to encourage them to be what they want to be. So actually, those 3 years took a lot out of me. From February 2020, it was like, okay, it's like a rest now, accept it, it's done, fait accompli. Took about a week of like, oh God, that's it. Anyway, so ever since then, so actually that was lifted a lot of weight off me. Every second for the last 4 years has been kind of bizarrely astonishing. And it shouldn't be. I shouldn't have an increasingly good mind, increasingly good memory. I shouldn't care about anything. I shouldn't care about my body. I shouldn't care about wanting to find somebody to spend the rest of my life with. I shouldn't care about anything. But every bit of my soul is just doing great. So, how to be me? The most horrible, grandiose sounding thing there possibly is. And it's got nothing to do with being here. I kind of need to get away from here. There's nobody here. There's just nobody. It is such a self-obsessed self. It's just a self place. Penzance around the corner. It's horrible. And the worst thing about it is it has a patina of genuinely interesting, cultural, art-focused people. And they're all, it's a bizarre, very unhappy place, fundamentally. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. How to be me. But I have to get paid. I've been this. Not giving selflessly. I just put certain things out, or put myself into causes for, certainly for 10 years. 11 years actually. And it's like, never got a penny from anything. A third of my time for 11 years. And the first 2 or 3 years were important because I was supporting somebody else, and I was putting myself there for her entirely, and it worked perfectly. It really was. Because you can't domineer, you can't even push things in. Well, I did. I made the space such that she decided she wanted. I made the space and made sure she understood certain things, not from me, about what was around her, and she made her decisions to take part. And but that was very, very, actually that's the most successful couple of years of my life, in truth. So yeah, I got to get paid to tell the world how to be me. I'll never get a penny from anything. It doesn't matter, because what matters, like I said, the thing that gives me the buzz is getting my records, my little digital audios, bits of video, etc., double backed up. It's like they're saved. That, bizarrely, that's the thing. It's like whatever insights I have that may be useful, they're saved. There we go.